our lovely alumni to come here and to share with you their career progression, how they're discovering their passion. Maybe you have already discovered, maybe you're on the way of discovering. But as you know, in this module, we really strongly encourage you to find a job that you would love, to find a job that you will be happy at. And we are deliberately using emotional words because I think in academia, we focus sometimes too much on rational thinking, how to apply for jobs, how to develop certain skills. But also it's important that we get inspired. And part of this is actually networking. Okay, part of the process of discovering your happy career is networking, talking to other people in the same position as you, in the same at the same level when you're researching career, or somebody who are just like our alumni here, who have been sitting in this room just a few years ago. Yes, so you are nodding, you know what it's like to be a student. So now that you are a few years forward in your career, we hope that this session will be interesting and useful for our students. So the actual name of today's session is Business Management, What Comes Next, and it is an alumni panel, and it is organized by our alumni team, Alex over here and Aidan, yes, over there. Thank you so much for doing this, for organizing this. So we very much hope that this event will be useful. Now, just very briefly, you probably know this about our alumni team, but this session is part of your assessment too. Please ask questions because we would expect you, in order to figure out, to demonstrate how you're researching your happy career, it's important to demonstrate that you are networking. So this is a fantastic event because we ask our alumni to come here, share with you, and also you can ask them questions after they share with you their career projections. So just a few housekeeping issues. This session is recorded, but of course you know this. The recording is over there, and the Panopto is recording, but the students, you are not going to be recorded. So, but your questions are at the end. I think that's more or less it in terms of housekeeping and introductions. Can I just start by introducing you? We have this slide here, obviously, that with your names. Thank you again so much for coming. So we have Lauren, Dawn, Aram, Peggy, and Antola. Thank you so much for coming. You did business management course as well, right? So it's the same course as you, very similar course. And we really much hope that you will inspire our lovely students. Okay, this is our goal, get them inspired. How did you figure out the career that you wanted to pursue? And we welcome if you share this. Thank you so much. So, start there? Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Peggy. I graduated last year. I studied business management, the general course. I'm currently a recruitment consultant, working the interim HR and transformation market in Germany. I'll be flying out to Berlin next 2 weeks from now to meet up with some of the hiring managers I work with to kind of discuss strategic hiring plans. One of the reasons I got into recruitment is because there's a lot of skills you can learn. It's personal skills, networking skills, relationship building skills, and that's one of the things that I'm going to kind of take further into my career, at some point when I decide to kind of start my own business or, go into entrepreneurship. So, yeah, pass on, you sense.
Hi everyone, I am Dawn. I graduated in 2020. I currently do HR for the NHS, where I deal with everything for doctors. So I work specifically with doctors only. I wanted to do HR when I kind of started uni, but I just didn't know which direction to go. So I'm here today to inspire you guys that there's hope. I graduated in the heart of the pandemic, so it was a real challenge, but we'll share more about that later.
Hi, my name is Adela Komiti, and I graduated in 2017 from Business Management with Entrepreneurship, and I am the founder of my own business, it's a confectionery studio, which is a fancy way of saying make cakes and different desserts. And I started it end of my course, because part of my course was to start my actual business again with my project, and I continued it after uni.
Hi guys, I'm Nora Gillis. I'm an account manager at Saatchi & Saatchi Wellness. I work in the advertising industry and I've been in the industry for 3.5 years, where I've been in the health segment specifically for the last 2.5 years. I also graduated in 2017 with the same course as Dee, Business Management and Entrepreneurship.
Hi everyone, my name is Tufan and I'm the founder of Happy Student. Happy Student is an app that allows students to have an easy transition, and we provide a lot more. We are going to have our soft pilot launching in January, so I'm going to tell you more about my journey. And I started Happy Student, working on Happy Student while I was studying here, and yeah.
Thank you for your introductions. So we have a set of questions for you, if you don't mind answering. I think that will help our students. And the first question is, tell us a bit more about your experience at Westminster. So did our university degree help you in any way figure out your career, what you wanted to do? If yes, then how? If not, that's also okay, but what did you do? Maybe informally, maybe it was part of the modules, formal structure, mentoring, some activities that the university organized, or maybe it was other types of networking informally that you made through friends at the university. So how did the university help, if it did? Thank you so much.
Well, when I first had the idea of Happy Student, I actually went to my personal teacher, and he recommended that I go to Creative Enterprise Center at the time, and now it's We Network, it's called. And before that, he also recommended that I go to a program called Students Code Creators, where I had the opportunity to work with a professor, with a PhD student, and with two students of my own choice. So we had to write a very thorough academic paper about Happy Student at the time, and we actually that was the time when I realized that it's not just me who's having trouble when moving to a new city to settle into a new life. It was actually, there were many other students. Although it's more, it is the most essential for international students, but also home students were having trouble as well. That's when I took the next step to go to the We Network, and we started developing Happy Student to turn it into a business. They provided a lot of help, and I've been in touch with everyone that has been supportive from day one. So recently I won the Santander, the Big Idea competition here, the first prize, as well as Viral Idea prize. And I also became, I'm Happy Student became part of Microsoft for Startups program. And so all this networking, and also my professors, I'm still in touch with them. I would, ask them anything really that I would want to talk with them, and they always provide help. And I think university is a really great place to kind of enhance where you want to grow and what you want to do. There will always be some answer, and if they don't have it, they will recommend some other. And I think, especially my professors, again, also talking, they are very supportive. They want to help you, and that's why they're here as well. But if you just look for it, and there is going to be help, as well as there are programs outside of the subject that you're studying, and that it could be architecture, art, or business, whatever you want to pursue your career. I think there are really nice programs where you can go and ask for help, and they will help you to take to the next step. I think that was my experience in the university, and I think I feel lucky to have come across with very good people. And they're all good. But now that I'm actually, my business is growing because of the support of the University of their actual.
I think when I was at uni, I was really drawn to marketing and my selling course. So I think I started to find what I wanted to do while I was here. Although I wasn't so sure about my path into that industry, it took me a little while figuring out kind of like how to get in and what kind of experience I would need. So I'd say that was a really good thing about coming, but I did need to make a bit of a leap to kind of get to where I am now. Another thing was on the entrepreneurship course, we were really encouraged to have mentors, literally to go out and find our own mentors. And it is a bit of a strange thing to just be hitting up strangers on LinkedIn, but it worked. It worked for all of us. We all had great mentors. And she opened kind of some doors into a different way of thinking. She let me be in her group. It is called Driven Women. And it was about kind of encouraging women to achieve their goals and set clear goals. So it kind of got me into this different way of thinking that really aligned with my personal beliefs, that stood me in really good stead for how I approach my career in the future. I think I learned a lot of good things at uni that have kind of inspired other things that got into my career, kind of your business basics. But it wasn't until I got out of uni that I really found kind of my groove of what I wanted to do. So I just think it's okay if you don't know right now or not found it yet.
Studying at uni during the pandemic, I was initially quite demotivated and uninspired, but thankfully the lecturers and professors we were working with were so supportive. During my dissertation, our professor actually offered to kind of say, if you want to book in some, time to go on a team call, let's book in some time, write up a draft and I can overlook it and, give some constructive criticism, and he happily did that. Phone calls, emails, literally, you send an email, you get one back in the space of 10 minutes. So I'd say there was just so much support, so much help, and realistic expectations. They understood that, we are going through a really kind of hard time in the world, and so there was a lot of understanding and empathy on that side. So it made it really easy to kind of get on and do stuff because everyone understood, everyone was kind of going through it as well. So a lot of support.
For me, similar to Lauren, I didn't have a clear direction of where I wanted to take my career, but I knew I wanted to do something with people and consulting and so forth. So when I came here, what was good is that my lecturers, they really supported me in terms of making that transition. I came from doing hairdressing before, so it was a switch of career when I came to uni, but I just wasn't 100% sure how I was going to get there and what that journey looked like. So the foundation that I got from Westminster was really good because my aim goal is to start my own consultancy business, and I've done the entrepreneurship pathway, and we had to do a business project as well where we had to start our own business, do our plans and all the rest of it, and then had to pitch it to a panel that drove them, which was quite it was quite good, but it really challenged me to really come out of my comfort, really think about actually what can I maximise, what opportunities do I have on my doorstep, and how do I plan to get to where I want to go. In my first year, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do HR, because at that stage I knew I wanted to do HR, but I wasn't sure if I should do the entrepreneurship pathway or HR, because I wanted to start my own business, and I felt that the entrepreneurship pathway was going to give me the tools for that. But then I also wanted to learn about HR as a discipline. But I'm glad with the choice that I did make after speaking to the module leaders. They were really able to just put me in the right direction, and I said, I can do HR masters after, which I'm currently doing at the moment. So I think university is a good starting point for you to find your foundation of where you want to go, and it's really up to you how you take this opportunity. If you maximise the resources and the people that are available to you, they will help. But if you just kind of aim for playing and just having fun, then you're kind of just going to struggle a little bit more. But you will find the direction in the end. But that was my experience.
For me, it was a little different because I always wanted to start running a business. I wasn't entirely sure in what. And so I decided to study business management to sort of learn the fundamentals and different aspects of running a business and what is entailed in actual business from all sort of areas. And so in the first year, it was sort of a broad overview of everything within a business, and then because I did entrepreneurship pathway, it became a lot more directed to something I wanted to do. And in my final year, as many people said, we actually had to start a business, which is the business I'm still running today. So for me, it gave me that sort of foundation of actually starting the business and sort of push on it, because I think I would have started this business, which is probably not as soon if I hadn't studied this course. So it gave me that foundation and that push to really start the business. And with, especially on our course, we had a really great teacher called Jane, and she was honestly such a pivotal role in the course as a whole, and allowing us to really have that push. And we also did like a fair at the end of our course where everyone sort of showcased their businesses as a whole, and we got loads of feedback from alumni, people in the industry, and yeah, just a variety of people to really just give us really honest, uncriticized opinions on our businesses. So I was obviously do my own business, but this is something stay a lot more targeted to what I actually wanted to do.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think that many students can relate to what you were saying, and one of the reasons why we are talking about career paths level 4 and 5 is because we know that it's a journey, right? You don't just one day wake up and think, oh, I know what I want to do. Definitely, Seven and I were talking about it. It took us a while. And it's interesting to hear how your process of discovery works. It's different, but also I'm glad that in some ways university helped. And yes, as you said, you're more than welcome to come back to us. It's really lovely that you mentioned this. My second question is, at the time when you were graduating, obviously you had some concerns and worries. I think we all do. We all have some concerns, worries about our career. What was it like? Your worries at the time of graduation versus the actual experience of getting your degree. Were you worried about different things? It's not what then happened in reality. So what was it like? That worrying about the career and then actually getting it. What was that like? That process?
For me, I think studying this course and having a teacher like Jane, she made it very, very plain and very clear that it's not going to be easy, especially trying to run your own business. She didn't sugarcoat it, she made it very, very blunt that it's not going to be easy. And so I went into, after graduating, the idea of nothing going to be easy. And so she gave me advice of having your business, also having it as a side hustle and having another job to have as income. And so I was doing other jobs in the same sort of field, so I was still developing my skills, but it wasn't my own business because going into it, I had no money for it. And so having all these other businesses, all these other jobs even helped fund it, the business. And so that helped me throughout, and then eventually, I think one of the questions I'll think how I continued the business and developed it. But I went into, after graduating, went into a job very, sort of no expectations and just, didn't put so much on myself.
For me, when I graduated, it was quite challenging because it was 2020, so I had to finish school online very abruptly, and I didn't have the farewell with all my colleagues. It was like, one day we were in uni, the next day we were online. So the transition was quite challenging because the climate, the uncertainty was very real, and everyone was dealing with challenges, struggles, people losing jobs and so forth. So for myself, I was still doing hairdressing when I was studying, but in the heart of the pandemic, salons were closed, so I had no income. So for me, it was like, my money's running out, I need to do something because I'm going to have no money to pay my bills, I have kids, and I have everything to do. So I just took the job just doing delivery driving for Sainsbury's because I'm in the city. And I worked 30 hours and start work at 6 in the morning, I finish at 1 and then come home and literally every day be doing applications because I had to just really do extra. And you know, I was working on my LinkedIn profile, I was talking to everyone, I want to get to HR, I want to get to HR. And it just felt like, is this ever going to happen? Did I just waste 3 years of my life? Or like, how is this happening? I'm in the pandemic, I have no idea how I'm going to get into my career. But then a friend had reached out to me, she messaged me and said, oh, I heard it will get to HR, and this is what we do. She said, we do the job spec, and she's like, this is what we do, and have a look at it, see if you want to do it. So I was like, read it, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do this. And then I was like, when do I use it? She's like, no, you don't use it. We're just going to do through the Staff Batch Avenue, and then we'll be like you can buy the Pandora later. So it was literally like overnight, I just got the right opportunity, just by talking to everyone to get into that career, and you know, I was very thankful for it.
The things I was hearing about kind of graduating and going into the job market was you get online and see a lot of roles for graduate jobs, but they would ask you for experience. And of course, you know, I have been working since I was, 17, and I had a lot of experience, but I was a bit apprehensive with what I wanted to go into and what I wanted to do, so that added like a layer of pressure. Right after I graduated, I became a customer service representative, basically like a track and trace agent for COVID, and I said I could just do this for like a few months while I figure out what I want to do. And I started doing a lot of research into kind of different roles. I've always looked at sales as the way something to go into, but a lot of people say no, sales isn't something you want to go into, especially with a degree. You can go into a higher a job with kind of higher career prospects. But I said, let me give this an opportunity because I've heard with sales, a lot of kind of people that own businesses, if you look at their experience and work experience, they have sales experience, and I wanted to have an opportunity to kind of harness and improve the skills I have, whether that's interpersonal skills, networking, that sort of stuff, so that down the line, when I have a clearer view of what I want to do long term, which I want to own a business at some point, I can have the skills I've acquired with my role and apply them to my own goals and dreams, essentially. So I didn't put pressure on myself to kind of get into what other people expected me to get into. I decided to think about it more strategically, like I can use this as an opportunity to kind of build a strong foundation for my future, and that's why I then decided recruitment is a good thing to go into. I applied on Indeed, and a rec to rec is basically a recruiter that helps you get into recruitment. Helped me land like 3 interviews, and then I finally went with the company I'm at now. So the reality was it's really not that hard. There's loads of people out there that are ready to help you. There's recruiters out there that probably recruit for the industry you're interested in. So reach out to them on LinkedIn or Indeed if they're applying, and if they're advertising, apply to them, and yes, someone will reach out to you and show you the right way.
When I graduated, I knew that I wanted to work in something that was business-centric but creative as well, and that was really important to me. But I just wasn't sure about what was really on offer, and it took me quite a bit of searching and talking to people to find the advertising industry. It's one of those industries that's a little bit hidden, it's not as obvious, and the entry paths aren't always obvious either. You have to do your own research to find it. But I really wasn't sure that there was going to be that perfect job for me that was the crossover between the two things, but there was. And I think that's just going to apply to a lot of other areas. You've got a bit of a niche thing you're looking for to combine with business. There's such a high chance that there is a role out there for you, which just might not be super obvious. You're going to need to do your own research. The other thing I was worried about when I was graduating was that I just didn't really have the work ethic in me to be able to do a full-time job. I'm not sure if that's relatable, but I was like, I don't have the attention span, 50 hours a week, that's mad. But it was like being able to just take a step back and take that pressure off of myself. and just go into it and absorb the experience, and then try and build up, that proper work ethic that it takes to do a full-time job. Just, try and not kind of overthink it, overpressure myself, and I got there, it was an absolute breeze, it wasn't as scary as I thought. Before I got my kind of career job, I call it, I worked in a restaurant as well, I was a waitress, I did it for a year, and that was like a hard hustle. I'm sure some of you have similar jobs. It's tough, you're on your feet for like 10, 12-hour shifts, and it's like 6 days a week, hardly any breaks. If you can do that, you can sit down at a desk and use your brain, so it's save enough time as well. It's easier.
Well, I think one of my advantages is that I started my own business while I was studying at university. So I didn't have any worries about what I would do once I graduated. So I knew what I was going to do. I was actually looking forward to spend full time working on Happy Student. But also I think I managed to kind of merge my study with my business. So I would try to find subjects that would actually somehow help grow Happy Students. So I was studying entrepreneurship, and it really helped me to relate my subjects with my startups, and it really helped me theoretically as well as in time. I was able to manage it to do it in real time as well as a practice. I think I've always been very, very ambitious, and I never wanted to use that ambition for another company, so I wanted to use it for my own. I think so that will be all.
Thank you for sharing. Actually, it reminded me of my own experience. Suddenly I was discussing, how we found other jobs. You're right, we have concerns, and then at some point you just say, don't be too hard on yourself, just go out there, do something, make a first step. Yes, what's the saying? The journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step, and that's exactly what you're describing. It was really inspiring from hearing that you said, I had concerns, I had worries, but then I decided, no, I'm not gonna make it stop you. It's really inspiring. You actually almost, in a way, answered my next question. So maybe briefly, just in case if you have anything to add, what was it like the actual process of recruitment? Not for everybody, or the process of actually opening the company. Any highlights that you remember? You don't need to describe the whole recruitment, but maybe if you prepared for interviews, or it happened naturally, or it was part of maybe informal, part of networking. So any highlights about your recruitment process or opening business? Whatever advice.
A highlight.
Yes, just some bright memories that we think really help you to take that next step to open your business and for other people to get through the recruitment.
Yeah. Well, I think in my case, it's very easy to start a company. It just takes like half an hour on the camping house, but it's really nice once you get that letter. Your name and your business name is on it. I will always tell people about Happy Student, saying, oh, I have this business and I'm starting Happy Student. And I think in a way that really helped me to take the business to the next stage, because I just didn't want to be the one who would talk about projects and never realize it. But also, I had a feeling that if I don't realize this business, I will never be able to finish any other project. So I actually said that I'm going to finish this business, and it's really nice. It's helping students. It helps people, and it should be done because it has a cause. It had a cause, and it has a cause. At the time, that's what I was thinking. I don't know.
No, that's
Well,
great.
also I think applying to competitions and winning those competitions, or not even winning. I remember when I first applied for Santander University's entrepreneurship course, I didn't make it. I didn't even make it. I made it to shortlist, but not to the finalist. But that didn't stop me. I just applied next year and I won. And I thought, that was such a great process for me because I wasn't at the same place as I was when I was applying once the competition was done. And that was one of the biggest highlights in my life because it really helped me to go to the next stage. And it helped me to kind of carry on the project as well.
For my industry, I had quite an intense experience coming in. So I joined through the internship program. It's quite highly lauded for the advertising industry. It's from one of the big, great older agencies. But by nature, it is quite an intense ride. So I applied online. It's kind of 3 analytical questions that you answer to assess kind of your strategic thinking, your creative thinking, your approach to problem solving. You go in then for an interview day, it's 2 back-to-back interviews, people just firing questions at you, no prep. And then on the 3rd round, it's a 10-minute presentation in front of 30 people and a panel on any subject you like, but it was quite tough to prepare for, but I'm really competitive, I love to win. So it was a good feeling to come through that and they take 4 people on in the internship. So I was one of 4, and then I was hired afterwards. So I think they hired 2 people from that 4-person cohort. So it was quite a difficult way in. There's definitely easier ways in. There's easier programs that are now available that I would have gone through if I had known about them. But that was definitely kind of a tough moment, but a highlight as well because I made it through. That's amazing to say.
For my current role, like I mentioned, work with a recruiter who places people into recruitment roles, and she basically set up 3 interviews for me across London. And the first interview, she basically prepped me, so say, let's run through some practice questions, why do you want to get into recruitment, what plans do you have for your career, standard questions, and I did it for the first one, and then the second company, which is the company I'm with now, there was 3 rounds. The first one was a conversation, the second one was a conversation, the third one was a presentation, basically a 10-minute presentation on why I want to get into recruitment and why I want to actually work for that company. And the recruiter actually, assisted me, told me kind of like pointers, tips, and what to do, but it wasn't kind of anything too intense. So the process was pretty smooth. If you're someone who can, talk to people and you can kind of like hold conversations, it's not hard to kind of be good in an interview. So I went into that kind of feeling confident and not putting too much pressure on yourself, which I think is important. There's loads of opportunities out there, especially if you have a degree. I went there and said, no matter what, there's always something else that I can do. So the process was pretty smooth, pretty simple,
Well, for me, I think the interview itself, so to say, is quite easy. You don't have to talk and communicate. It's just really about selling yourself to the person that's sitting there. I think the process is how to put it on paper. I grew up in a generation where you don't have to do this online application, so you just go to the organization, your CV, and you're having to do the spot sometimes. So it just was so different in terms of just being seen on paper. So I think it's your application that needs to be strong because you need to get shortlisted before you can think about talking to someone. And so once you really just know how to look attractive on paper and really just apply yourself, I would encourage you to get mentors, to get careers or employee advisor that will really help you with your applications, because that for me was my challenges. Getting an interview, doing an interview was fine. I'm sure it's not getting a job, but it's actually getting the interview board in the first place for me that I think is a challenge. And that's quite demotivating. When I was doing applications, and not even getting a rejection email, which I think was rude. So I would say definitely make yourself look at the paper, and then you can really sell yourself when they see you in person, they love you. So
For me, it's a little different because it's a creative role, and so it is a mixture of having the experience but also having the actual skill to do it. You know, if you've got 3-5 years experience, if you can't decorate a cake, you can't decorate a cake. So it was sort of like trial shifts. That was my sort of interviewing process. So they would see my skill in action rather than just me putting on paper I can make cakes and then I get the job and they see I actually can't. So it's a bit different in that sense. So it was a bit more physical and them actually seeing the skill in action, which I preferred, because sometimes you put on your CV, you could be a chef for 10 years, but you may not be able to make a cake or something like that. Whereas I didn't have any sort of professional experience, but I had the sort of self-taught skill to decorate cakes and just make desserts. And so they saw that skill in action without me having more experience in my CV. So I prefer that rather than being too traditional.
Thank you so much for sharing. My next question is, and I think this would be helpful for our students who are now actively researching their career path. If they're not sure what they want to do, is there any advice or a tip that you can give them how they can find their happy career? Any tip advice? Doesn't have to be long.
I would just say try as much as possible. If it fails, just do something else. I was also, if you're having your own business, I would suggest having some sort of stable income whilst you're trying different ideas out, so that you do have some sort of income coming in rather than just focusing on your business completely and then not making any money from it. But yeah, you can't really go wrong. I would say try as much as possible.
I would say so. Try everything, but I would also add, try what you're gifted at. What you are good at is what will make you actually passionate about something and you'll just excel. So I would say try everything, and if you find something that you really enjoy, nurture it, because that's where you'll grow.
I would say networking, get on LinkedIn, make an account, reach out to people. You'd be surprised how open people are to conversations. People are happy to hop on a Teams call or phone call to kind of talk you through their own experiences. So network, go to events. There's loads of events on Eventbrite. I'm going to one on Thursday for like tech, but I'm interested in going to tech. But it's just might as well go out and have conversations, get market intel. That's what I would say.
Just talk to people, talk to your friends, talk to parents, relatives. Just start having that conversation with people, even if it's about, that already it's something that you're interested in. It might just be like confirming that. It could take you in a direction that you didn't even know was a career path. So I would just encourage you to just have those conversations. I'd also say get a recruitment person on your side, befriend a recruiter. They're such a massive ally into getting you the job that you want. It's literally like you're their client, so you're briefing them to find you a job, and they can come to you with great roles. And a great recruiter will stand by you throughout your whole career, which is awesome. Also, they're incentivized to help you, so that friends with benefits in that sense. The third thing is just take your time. Don't feel pressured to get that perfect career role as your first job. My first job out of uni was not that. It was a disaster. I didn't survive probation in 3 months and got fired. So that role wasn't my perfect role, and I thought it was when I got it. I just say take that pressure off yourself. You need to have more time. You can support yourself while doing that. Just don't feel like that first job needs to be the one.
I think that's where the university really plays its importance here, because that's where you discover where you are good at. And of course, going out and looking for it is also part of it. But I think we all need, mentors, like you said. We can ask our families or friends or someone we admire, someone is your hero. I'm sure you can find out and reach out to them, ask their opinion. It's always nice to ask people about what you like and where you want to work and what their opinions, what they would recommend. They are going to help you as well. Just look for help. They will help you.
Thank you. Another question we have, I know we talk a lot about how to find your happy career, how to excel in your career, but in your current role, are there any challenges, something maybe particularly you don't like, that you would like to change? So are there any challenges in your current career that you could describe to our students? Because I think we often talk about happy career, and actually some of my students said, when we teach, you always say it's like everything is happy, perfect, like in theory. But obviously we know that's not the case. Everybody has some challenges in the work. If you don't mind sharing yours. Thank you.
It's so true. We have the product, and we have clients, and we are growing right now. But it took 4 years in total to come to here. It wasn't easy. It was really, really difficult, and it required a lot of hard work. And it had a lot of ups and downs. And at some points, you wouldn't want to continue, but coming here wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. You only hear the good news on LinkedIn. You don't see the bad news. I don't share, my struggles. It was, I had to hustle, and I was having trouble with finding a good team. So maybe we can talk later. But I have a very good team, and I think right now it took me time to recruit the best team, and the team that wouldn't just do the work for money, but they would do it because they believe in the project. And I think that was my, one of the difficulties that I faced as I was building. But, finding people who you aren't happy with their work, and that should never stop you, because everything is a learning process. So I actually learned from them, and I learned what they can't do. So I was looking for someone who could do what they cannot do. And just, don't stop. Carry on.
One of the challenges in my industry, and probably a lot of the desirable industries to work in, is a lack of diversity. I don't have the answer for that or what to do about it, but it's, there's big awareness on it. I think there is an active effort to make a change in a lot of these industries and to bring more diverse people in. But it might be that you are some of the few diverse people or POC people in your company. I think the 3 years I've been in my current company, I was one of a few, and now diversity growing, which is great. But it's obviously puts you in a position where you have to feel a little bit uncomfortable at times, being kind of one of the few POC people. So I should say it is a challenge, but there are kind of positive structures in place to try and help that.
A big part of my role is cold calling, so getting on the phone, trying to kind of sell services, build relationships. I have to call a lot of senior people in Germany. Thankfully, a lot of them speak English, which is really helpful, but it can be really challenging to get on the phone and talk to someone who doesn't want to talk to you, but you have to try and kind of push forward in the conversation because you have KPIs you need to kind of target you have to meet. So that can be a challenge, but if I'm being honest, I quite enjoy challenges only because it gives me an opportunity to push myself. It sounds silly, but once upon a time, I'll be embarrassed about making a mistake, and now it's just whatever. I like pushing myself. I like learning how I can do something differently, and now I've kind of, although I have sales training and everything, I've still been able to kind of create my own method of reaching out to people and forming relationships. So now I kind of use Calendly to book in meetings with clients rather than hopping on the call and saying, hey, do you want to talk to me on Teams? So it's kind of facing a challenge and finding a solution. I'd say that.
For me, I would say it's being flexible. I work in the public sector, so you can be loving your job one day, like I love my job for probably about a year plus, and then I was given another role, So where you feel that you have your, your day-to-day is just on rock and it's perfect, it can just be disrupted by actually someone leaves or, there's a transition going in work or there's some restructure. So I think for me, the struggle has been just adapting to when things change at work and it's unexpected and I have to now accommodate another role within my role and trying to manage the time that I don't have to do it. And it's also as well thinking about when is it too much. Like for me, the last few months I'm not enjoying my work and I've been moaning about it every day. I come home from work, I'm moaning and everyone's like, I'm going to work. So I'm actually starting a new job tomorrow because I hate my job at the moment. Well, I've been now, but I hate it, so I quit and started a new job. So it's just about knowing when's enough. When does this nonsense that happens in your organisation become actually changes your ethic, your work culture, how you do things, and you don't feel like you're yourself anymore. And I don't like to play. I like to do everything and do 110% in everything I do. And when I'm not able to fulfill my role, it questions me. Maybe am I not that good, or is the problem me, or is it work? And I know the problem's not me, so I have to use the organisation so that I can be who I'm supposed to be.
For me, the main challenge is juggling all the different sort of hats within my own business. So I'm the photographer, finance, admin, just a lot of things I have to sort of balance and juggle at the same time. So now I'm sort of and I work alone as well. So at this moment in time, I'm sort of trying to recruit so I can sort of delegate and take that pressure off myself so that the business continues to grow. Rather than it just being stagnant because I'm not able to do everything in a timely manner. So I was in the challenge trying to juggle everything, but now I'm trying to delegate it so the business can grow.
Thank you for sharing. I think if I can summarize what you've said is you look at the difficulties in something you don't like in your career and you turn it almost like a sport, a project, a challenge. You turn it into something positive, right? And that's what helps you to get over it, to succeed further. And also thank you for explaining that this idea of a happy career that we're talking about, it's not just one job that you get. Yes, you learn something, you enjoy it, and then maybe you get bored, you want further challenges, so you move on. So happy career is a process, right? It's a journey, it's not one job that you choose. And I think when we speak with lots of students here, I think normally we have two groups of students. Some groups say, don't know what I want to do, completely lost. But the other groups of students is, as we've spoken during the seminar, saying that I definitely know what I want to do. My parents have a business, for example, I hear this a lot, I'm going to work there. And I think what you've highlighted is that it's not static. You might know what you want to do, you might not know what you want to do, but in a few years' time after you graduate, things will change. That's just the nature of current career progression. But thank you again for saying that you turn difficulties into sport, if I may say, as an analogy, yes, into something fun. You take it as a challenge, something that helps you to succeed, and with that positive attitude, you can actually persevere. Thank you. My next question is, we almost finished with more structured questions, so I welcome the students ask questions as well. But if you don't mind saying so, are there any absolute musts that you think our students should get? So, for example, university degree, for example, or some other certificates, something tangible, but also something intangible. What are your ideas? Is there anything that you think students should do at this stage of their career? Because you've been there a few years ago. The other question is, do you regret not doing something whilst you were at the university at this stage?
It really just depends on what you have in mind for your career, but I would say even something creative, still get a degree as a backup plan. I would always say get some sort of degree as a backup plan, just in case your career path that you have in your head doesn't go to plan, you have something to fall back on. Like I said, I always wanted to start my own business, but I didn't want to go head in, straight into the business just because things didn't work out. something like business management is so broad, you can use it in so many different avenues. So that I always knew that was key. So the second part was what I would do more unique. What I do.
So, sorry, must and regrets. If you
Oh,
regret
regrets.
not doing it.
Regrets, I would say I didn't go to enough networking events, especially with my course. It was encouraged and there were a lot of events available. I just felt awkward and I just didn't want to put myself out there in that way. But I did go to some, but I just went to more. And just general speaks as well like this. We had many of these on our course. And just throughout uni in general. So I would say, yeah, just networking and putting myself out there a bit more than uni is probably one of my regrets.
For me, I think the must is the degree. I think we think about okay, we're doing a degree in this and then we can't do that. But actually, I learned that actually the degree is just really an opportunity to open the door to you actually have the skills to do the work. So it doesn't actually matter what you study. It's just about that qualification or CV. It holds a lot of weight, a lot more than I actually appreciated. I think had I not had my degree and I was in a situation with COVID and I wanted to switch careers, that door opening would have been available for me because, she said to me, because you have a degree in business, because I'm a hairdresser for years, so it was just a complete two different sides. She said, let us know realistic about what you want to do, so it made me take a gamble with me. Also, what I would say is just to maximise this opportunity at university. I think, it's hard when you're at school, you've got everyone around you and everyone's, having fun and you kind of feel like you're stuck in work and you're not having fun. But there is a lot of opportunities in this facility and I think there is too much and I think you can't really leave without getting the best from your university environment because I don't know about other universities, but I think Westminster has a lot in terms of career opportunities. They have career fairs and you can really network with people, really talk to people, open doors for yourself and even others. So I would say for me, I don't think I have any regrets in my time at uni. But yeah, I definitely think I could have done a bit more, going to more events and stuff like that, but that was really more the time because I still had to work. But just maximise everything that's available to you.
Yeah, it's really good that you are, studying in a degree, and I would say that having a degree is really more important than, especially in contemporary times where there's a big push for, you don't need a degree, there's loads of opportunities without one, but there are so many things I learned and so many skills I acquired at uni outside of the actual qualification. There's I'd say that's like a big loss. Actually getting a qualification that you can take with you and feel fulfilled throughout your career. Some things I would say that you also should do is networking, get on LinkedIn. I wish I'd done earlier, but networking and talking to people is really something that you should be doing throughout your life, both professionally and personally, because you can be at a party and meet someone and they can literally give you like a job. So make it really like a big part of your life to like talk with people and interact with people. And I'd also say also attend events, using the opportunity to attend events as well as internships. So if you have the opportunity to take a year out and, travel to another country and like work for a year, I would honestly jump at that. But even if you don't travel, to get an internship in London, even if it's like a summer internship for like 2 months, I'd say that's like a really big thing. That's something I wish I would have done as well.
One of my big regrets at uni was not really sorting out my time management skills or my organisation, and it's something that stalled me so much as I came into the workforce. It was even a little bit embarrassing to the point where I've had a manager sit down with me and be like, you need to block out your time, do 2 hours of this, 1 hour of this. The managers don't want to do that to you. They want you to have that stuff pinned down. I was definitely a bit lazy, a bit discontent in my last few years at uni, and I wish I would just not carried over bad habits of leaving things to the last minute and doing my dissertation in like a week rather than 6 weeks or whatever it was given. I rushed things and I still continue to do that. I thought it would be okay when I joined work, and it was for a bit. You could definitely take it, but it came to a point where it was too stressful and I literally just had to sit and reform my behaviour and force myself to just be on top of my timings and be organised. So that's my big regret. In terms of doing things now, I don't have that much like CV embellishment or extracurricular like activities or things I've done or set up, but I've had a few colleagues come in where that was so highly lauded. So if you have time, or if you're doing something as a side hustle, I'd definitely try and promote that. If you can bring it in as part of your CV, it's definitely noticed, and people will speak about it if you're doing it. So continue to do that.
One of my biggest regrets was that I chose a subject that I wasn't really interested, but I thought it would be very useful to know because I was physics law. But the jargon was completely different from what I know in English, and so I really struggled, and I failed in that course. But then I studied really hard and I passed. But I wish I hadn't taken something that I didn't know. That would be my regret. And I think what you must do, I just think London has a lot to offer, as well as the university. First of all, Westminster is such a central campus, and you can get a lot in terms of, like you said, networking or enjoying the culture. There are a lot to do, and it's very exciting. And I think you should. And 3 years is such a short amount of time, and I think you should just make the best out of being in London, studying in central London, and also studying at the university.
Thank you. It was actually interesting to hear what you said. One of the reasons why we asked you to come to Amsterdam and do this event is precisely because, as you said, we have this award, as you said, so many opportunities to network, but I didn't have time, I was overwhelmed, I had work to do, I had assessments to do, yes, it's very kind of natural to listen. So thank you for saying that you think this is useful, because at least our students can now say that, it's not just because we as academics love it, it's also useful from your point of view. And Laura, thank you so much for sharing. It was very personal, but sharing that, organizational skills, time management skills, I completely understand. And it's, when we speak with students, yes, how many of you guys ask, when is the deadline? When is the master released? Why are we asking these questions? You can download the calendar app and put it there, okay, at the beginning of every term. You open module handbook for every module, you put all your deadlines there, you then figure out how much time you need to do per assessment, you treat it like a project, and as you said, it really helps at work. But I completely understand, I had to learn at work, to be honest, as well. That was very meticulous to do. So yes, thank you so much for being honest and for sharing this. I think we sort of finished with these more structured questions. Thank you again so much for being honest and for openly sharing your experiences. We have opportunity now for students to ask questions. So Alex showed that we've got the Mentimeter there. If you want to type it, or you can raise your hand and ask questions. If you have any questions to the panelists, yes, thank you. It's okay.
What kind of freedom does your occupation provide you with?
Very interesting question. Freedom. You would relate. Freedom. What kind of freedom your occupation provides you with?
I have quite a lot of autonomy in my role and how I manage myself. Like, it's quite dependent on who your team is and who your line manager is. I have slightly more micromanaging person now, but I did have someone that gave me a lot of freedom to do what I wanted. It allowed me to structure how I wanted to work, which obviously, again, if you haven't got a time management organisation skills, it's detrimental, but if you have, it's great because you can be a little bit flexible in how you're approaching your work and how you speak to clients. My client's very people-focused, very client-driven, so it kind of allowed me freedom to build my own personal style in how I want to talk to them, and that in itself kind of gives me the space to create my own personal brand of work and it's definitely something that's been noticed. I've had great feedback from kind of my leaders in my organisation saying that we know you're this kind of person who work like that. So I'd say, look for that role that gives you a bit of autonomy in shaping yourself.
Yeah, same thing. We have a lot of autonomy. I can choose when I want to do business development, when I have to source for a role, when I can book in clients, go visit them in London, or when I can, fly out and go meet them. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of freedom surrounding that. Of course, there is still some structure because you still want to maintain a level of accountability in your role. So you want to be able to set aside some time for specific things. On a personal level, I'm really happy to also work with have a really great manager and a really great team. And so, if I need to take time out to come to events like this, I can. Whether that's they have a thing like compassionate leave, you need to take time out for your mental health or personal time, you can do that. So I think my company and my team just provides that for me as well.
Again, I have a lot of autonomy also at work. However, because I do HR, we do have deadlines like payroll, different kind of deadlines, maternity, stuff like that we do need to make sure that information is submitted to the right relevant teams in a timely manner. So it's really, depends on the organisation you work for and the kind of manager you have. Some managers like to micromanage, but generally a good manager will give you autonomy to navigate your own workload.
I have a lot of freedom. I have the opportunity to decide what I take on and when. So I can take on 5 orders a week or take on 10. So I have a lot of flexibility in that, and each order is different, each day is different as well. So within that freedom, there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of diverse sort of orders and projects that I work on. So in my own business, you have a lot of freedom.
I think I would say milestones. So I'm able to have my own milestones, and I achieve them during the time that, let's say, in 1 month I'm going to achieve this, and I think that's what I get from that freedom of choice. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I think actually it's very relevant to our module here, which is called Management and Leadership, right? So if you have a leadership role, as all of you explained, you have a certain freedom to make your own decisions, autonomous decision making, inspire, lead others, and you have a lot of flexibility, how you make these decisions, and then you evolve and develop. So it was coincidentally, it was very relevant to the main topic of our module, so thank you so much. Do we have any other questions? I know that we have a few.
I had a question regarding happy students. So you said you started your business when you were studying, and when you opened your company, did you use your own capital or you raise some money from any funds? And in case if you raise some money, was that hard to negotiate with some? Was that hard to negotiate with funds and to just generally find them?
Of course, it was very difficult. To start a company, you don't need to have huge company, but to start to develop it, I needed funds. And first, what I did, I actually asked my family to provide some small funds that would allow me to basically to do the research and maybe have a prototype so that I could see whether if students are going to find it useful to do a trial period. Like not MVP, I would say. The MVP stage was much later. But first, I actually tried to do it with as little cost as possible. So what I did, I went to one of the professors and I asked him, I had this idea and I don't know how to do it. And he said, you should use Adobe XD if you are going to develop an app. So I started watching YouTube, and Adobe has really nice, they have their own training programs. And I bought an Adobe membership where I started learning how to develop design an app, and it allows you to actually develop it in a way that it's clickable and it's like it's a finished product. And so when I was absolutely sure that the project was going to go to the next stage, then I again started looking for small funds, which I used it for to find developers who were going to cost a lot less, but they were not good, obviously. And I have come to a stage where I felt like, okay, I should actually start looking for, raise some enough sufficient funding so that I could hire a team that I could work with, a development team. So I started a Kickstarter campaign, and it was 60 days, and I raised a really good amount of funds where I was able to go and work with the team that I wanted to work with. And of course, still it wasn't enough, but I had to persuade them that this, this is just the first step, and it's just you have to hustle, in a way, like trying to get them to. You have to sell your idea. I had to sell my business to them, and I had to give them a structure where what I'm going to do next and what I can achieve. And based on those funds, we started. For instance, there were a lot of things that I wanted to do, but we removed them and we just, put the things that would be most essential to have as a core idea of Happy Students. And then once I was done with that funds, so I applied some, the competitions, and they also, provided some funds which were really useful. And yeah, I think. Right now it helps me to carry on those funds, but yeah, definitely there are crowd funds. First would be your family, of course, and if you're absolutely sure, then it would be going to go to your crowdfunding and competitions and until you make it.
Thank you.
That was my journey.
No, it's I don't expect an easy process, but then. Just try, yes, little step by step, we help you grow and grow. So you want to ask the question now?
Where do you see yourselves 5 years down the line?
That's an interesting question.
I'm really, really happy at the agency I'm in at the moment. So I see myself still in that company, which is not something I thought I would say, or have that long tenure there, but I hope so. I think one of the reasons why is because it's quite hard to find a really nice group of people to work with, and it's definitely for me people like the biggest kind of driver of what I'm doing and how happy I am at work. I've been really lucky because I'm in a small agency that has a really big brand name. So we're actually part of Publicis Group, and they're the biggest advertising holding company group in the world. So I've got this great network, but I work with like 20 people in my agency, which is really awesome. And because of the way that they've set up their hiring process and because of their leadership, they have quite a good filter to allowing good people in. I actually had a colleague say that he felt we were one of the only workplaces I worked in where there was no toxicity at all, which is awesome, and I've definitely worked in workplaces where there are. So because of that, and because of kind of setting up a great supportive network as well, I know my manager, my boss, and their boss are kind of on my side, supporting my development and my growth in the company. I feel like I'm in a really good spot to kind of stay there.
In 5 years' time, there are certain things I would like to achieve. So I want to be able to speak Spanish and French fluently. I think it's just a really good skill to have, in general. In 5 years' time, I hopefully will have, kind of decided what I'm going to do in terms of like starting my own business and, kind of be in a good spot, like a good place in regards to kind of plans moving forward. So 5 years' time, I do see myself, having met people internationally, talked with new people, found out about new opportunities, new ideas. So like initially I was like, let me get into crypto. So I went into crypto and that was a shambles. And then I said, okay, let me go into property. But I think with property you need to, have like a sufficient amount of funding and move forward. So I want to get into something that's quite new, innovative, and get into something that's quite interesting, hopefully through like meeting new people.
So in 5 years' time for me, I would like to be at least started my long-term goal, which is to start my own consulting business in HR. So ideally, if I'm not actually like fully functioning, I would like to definitely start it, at least putting pieces together and start my plotting. In terms of work, whether I'm being employed, if I am employed, I would like to see myself in a more leadership role, do more strategic HR. I'm currently doing my master's, so in 2 years I'll be finished. So I would like to be going back to my career, whether it be my own business or whether it be for an organisation, whether it be both. I'm not sure at this stage, but I definitely know I will be advancing and excelling in some way or another.
Even though I love what I do, I still do have other passions I want to pursue. So in 5 years' time, I would hope these are still running, but I would also hope I would have started or at least be developed in my other passions, such as screenwriting and directing, which I also complete 360 to what I'm currently doing. But yeah, I'd like to be doing multiple things and not in the same industry as well.
In 5 years, I think I'd like to grow a happy student and have my business operating around the world. I want to come to a stage where I want to achieve my dream and my motto. So, so basically, I'd say, education is, improving the quality of education. That's how we create better societies and better worlds. And I want to be able to provide that, I want to be able to provide, sorry, someone is laughing. Are you okay?
Guys, what's happening?
Sorry.
You will laugh if you're distracting the panelists. Anything you wanted to say? No? I think they're just happy to hear you. Let's take it that way.
So I think I want to be able to come to a stage where financially I can provide support to, educate people around the world, especially those who cannot get education in developing countries. There are places where people wouldn't send their daughters because it's a girl, or people wouldn't send their kids because it's or just because simply they don't have a school to send their kids to. So that's what I want to do in 5 years. I want to be able to provide easy access to education to as much as I can all around the world.
Thank you, thank you. We have a few questions that students typed and they mentioned it. Alex, did you want to read a few questions?
Yes, you can hear me well. So we've got a few questions. We've got time for about 2. So the first question, which is really good, have you ever negotiated your salary? Do you feel your pay reflects the amount of work that is demanded from you in your role?
Apart from salary, because I'll pass that question.
Have you ever negotiated your salary? You can pass that question. Yeah, you can pass it obviously, but do you feel, and then the follow-up question is, do you feel your pay reflects the amount of work that is demanded from you? Obviously that will differ a bit for entrepreneurs, but feel free to add it if you want.
I think I invest my time and I'm not getting paid at the moment. But I'd like to invest every penny I get or put it into my business. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to achieve something while I was studying, because that's when you get support from family and you don't have to worry about money. But eventually I will get what to a place where I will be happy, hopefully, about my salary.
Not so much. I didn't really negotiate my salary, but I've always been, in recent years I've been on a really happy salary. I think for women in particular, it's really important to kind of disclose how much you're making and just have a bit of an open approach to talking about your salary. It's something that especially for British people, we don't talk about how much money we make. It's definitely like a tradition of families that we could talk about. But I'll be really open now and kind of give you a quick rundown. So when I got placed on the internship, it was for 3 months. They paid London living wage, so it was £19,000, which was obviously hard to survive on, but I earned some money and had some savings to which in. I got employed. They said they had a flat rate for entry-level positions, which was an account executive. It was at 22k. Again, it was tough to be on that amount and live in London and live my life, but I mean, if you have the right kind of like, if you have a support partner, that's great. If you've got savings, again, it really helps. Getting a step up, I took the same role in a different company, it was 25k. I then got a promotion to get on to 30k, and then my most recent promotion was a 10 grand pay bump to 40k. I think being on 30, being on 40, like, it's very comfortable. You can definitely have a great life. You know, if you've got savings or if you've got someone, if you're with someone as well that helps pay for things, like, that's awesome and obviously can really, really help you out. But I'd just say, you know, it's okay to settle for a little bit less, even if you don't feel like you're being compensated. At times it's just part of that entry-level step, and it is really tough to be in that spot. But I mean, for me, as soon as I broke out of that, I got into a position where I was really, really comfortable with my salary, and the steps up are like another 5 or 10k pay bumps each time, so it's definitely well rewarded.
When I first got into my role, so when I was working as a track and trace agent, I got like £10 an hour, which I'm not sure how much that is a year, but it's not more than like 20k. And then when I got into recruitment, they said that the starting salary was 22k, and I said my recruiter actually encouraged me to, you know, maybe ask for a bit more. So I went in and said, oh, happy to, you know, take an offer, but I would like it to be at 24k. And they said, yeah, that's no problem. You can come on at 24k. I've now been promoted, so I'm now earning a 26k base, but I earn commission on top of that, which is a lot more. On target earnings for my first year was about 45k, as time goes on, and because I'm an interim recruiter, basically you get like your contractors, you get runners, and as you build your runners, you kind of build how much commission you make. So yeah, as I've been making placements, I will just continue to grow, and as I get promoted, my base salary will also grow. So yeah, I mean, I did in one of my MBRs, that's like a monthly business review I have with my manager. I said, you know, hey, like, is there any opportunity for me to go up to like a 30k base? And unfortunately, I have not got a response, so I wanted to know. But yeah, don't be afraid to ask. You know, all you can say is no or not get back to you. But as long as you work hard and you know your work is being acknowledged, you know, there's other things, other benefits I get. So like they might pay for my lunch, or I might, you know, get like I might get breakfast or something, like small things. But you know, lunch does add up. So if I get a free lunch, I'm definitely taking it. So yeah.
So for me, I haven't really had to negotiate my salary. I've been quite fortunate that I started at a good salary to start with. But I do think that my role isn't very senior, so I don't have any crazy expectations. However, I do work in an environment where I assess salaries. So I think when you're thinking about your salary and what it should be, you need to kind of think about how to justify that pay. So if you know that you're doing a senior role and your work demands you to work, I don't know, say 40 hours a week, or you're really working 50 hours a week, then your salary needs to reflect that. So I think it's actually ludicrous that you should work for less than 30k. But it's really up to you when you're leaving university. You just want to get your foot in the door, get experience, but you need to value your worth. If you work for a public sector, it's a bit hard to negotiate salary because they have an agenda for change, so everyone kind of gets the same pay according to the pay scale they're at. But in the public sector, in the private sector, you have a bit more leeway to say, well, I've got this experience and actually I've been doing this for 2-3 years, so I can justify that. I'm actually coming in there with skills, knowledge that I can impart to the organisation that makes me more of an asset to the organisation. So it's really about how you see yourself working on that organisation and how you what you're bringing to the table to justify that you want to get paid. What do you think your worth?
For me, when I'm in business, pay myself too much. I pay myself like £5 or £6 a month just to cover personal expenses. And I don't really need a lot of money personally to survive, I guess. But when I was working for other people, I was a lot more sort of courageous with that. If I didn't feel value, I would ask them for an increase, especially with something like in the kitchen, working in the kitchen is very labour intensive and very long days and shifts. If I didn't feel value, I would ask, and if they weren't going to pay, then I would go somewhere else that I wanted.
All right, perfect, thank you. So unfortunately we ran out of time. I'm conscious we have some guys at 1. So basically we have a bit of free time right now to ask your own questions as I come down and network with the panel. Major thank you to the panel. Thank you for